Hello and welcome to an introductory jungle guide for Season 6. We will be going over beginner level junglers, itemization and masteries, common jungling patterns, common counter jungling patterns, and some tips to help you get started down the right path. If you're about to try jungling for the very first time, or if you're under level 30 and do not have access to all the runes and masteries that you need, the two junglers that you will want to start with are Fiddlesticks and Warwick. Both of these champions have built-in sustain that allows them to jungle with 0 runes and 0 masteries, not to mention that they also have very strong level 6 ganks, which makes them great champions for learning the jungle. When it comes to itemization, you will need to figure out if it's best to start with Hunters Talisman, which works well with abilities, or better to start with Hunter's Machete, which works well with auto attacks. This is not as intuitive as it sounds, so it's best to test it explicitly in a custom game and see which item leaves you with more HP during your jungle clear. In this example, we find that Hecarim performs better with Hunter's Talisman on the left. All 3 jungle upgrades are viable choices. If you want your ganks to be as strong as possible, pick up a Stalker's Blade to slow down opponents as you come into lane. If you want better vision control, pick up a Tracker's Knife to place more wards on the map, and this also frees up your inventory to pick up a Sweeper to clear enemy wards. If you're looking to fight high damage targets, pick up a Skirmisher Saber as it's basically a free ignite and also lowers the damage you receive from the target, giving you an edge in duels. The jungler enchantments are pretty straightforward. If you got strong attack damage scaling and benefit from cooldown reduction, you go for the Warrior enchantment. If you have abilities that scale with your health, or if you plan on building super tanky, you'll go for Cinderhulk. If you have ability power scaling and want to take advantage of the additional move speed, you will go for Runic Echoes. And lastly, if you have any scaling with on-hit effects or attack speed, you can go for the Devourer. All of these upgrades are viable, but I do want to caution the Devourer junglers that are out there. If you are trying to stack Devourer through farming your jungle camps, there is a high probability that you will lose the game even before you get sated. The absolute best way to stack Devourer quickly is on Dragon or the Rift Herald. And the easiest way to farm either of these is after ganking a lane so that you have allies available to help you. Coming back to the itemization, offensive itemization is pretty straightforward. Just build anything that provides attack damage or ability power, and there isn't a whole lot of room for error. The rest of the itemization depends on how you want to play the game. If you want to move really fast and catch people, then Swift Boots and Dead Man's Plate are the best items available to junglers right now. If you need more stickiness, you can also pick up a Mallet, an Iceborne Gauntlet, or a Ryla's Crystal Scepter. If you want to do an on-hit build, look for items like Gunsu's Rageblade, Blade of the Ruined King, and Titanic Hydra. The Rageblade in particular is extremely strong when combined with Sated Devourer on Jax, Xin Zhao, and Master Yi. If you want to be that guy that annoys the enemy team by split pushing all day, build any of these items and it will help you clear waves and push down turrets. ZZ Raw Portal in particular is extremely effective right now on tank split pushers. If you're just looking for any one item that will help you survive, these are your best options. Sterak's Gauge is extremely popular right now for its ability to counter burst damage, and Banshee's Veil is the best option that's available in the game to avoid getting killed by game-changing abilities like a Blitzcrank Grab. If you're looking to be the frontline tank for your team, you'll want to load up on as much armor, magic resist, health, and cooldown reduction as you can. Look to build items like Randuin's Omen, Frozen Heart, and Locket of the Iron Solari so that you can soak up damage for your team. Let's talk briefly about the runes that you will be using. No matter what kind of jungler you are, you must always use flat armor seals. But if you feel that you know your champion well enough to use other combination of seals, then you are aware of the risk that you are taking. Flat armor seals are the safest choice against the jungle monsters and any potential counter jungling that you may run into. If you are opening with Hunter's Machete, 9 times out of 10, the attack speed quints will work best for you. If you are opening with Hunter's Talisman, you can go for ability power quints, attack damage quints, or move speed quints based on what works best for your jungler. Attack speed marks work well with Hunter's Machete, and you can use attack damage marks with both Hunter's Machete and Hunter's Talisman. For magic damage junglers, the best option is hybrid penetration marks. If you're wondering why we do not consider magic penetration marks, it's because the jungle camps do not have any magic resistance, but they do have armor. Lastly, you will want to use magic resistance glyphs. Flat magic resistance is safer, but you can use scaling magic resistance as well. Now let's talk about the masteries that you'll want to use as a jungler. First and foremost is setting up masteries for powerful ganks. All of the highlighted masteries here will make you move faster and deal more damage during your ganks. In this example here, the Wanderer Mastery helps me reach the mid lane faster for a counter gank, and the Oppressor Mastery helps me deal more damage after I slow down the enemy Lux and she goes down in one auto attack. If you plan on killing the enemy jungler, these are the masteries that you'll want to pick up to deal more damage and survive duels. In this example here, I go into the enemy jungle and bully Eve off her blue buff and take it for myself. Zed tries to be a hero here, but the strong level 2 on Master Yi combined with the advantage from the Assassin and Merciless Mastery helps me take him out. I get a very small HP boost from Dangerous Game here and then turn around to kill Eve with the same masteries giving me a slight edge again. Lastly, you'll need to set up masteries for Jungle Sustain. Any number of the highlighted masteries here will help you survive the jungle, and this can make or break your jungling path if you are an extremely weak jungler against the jungle monsters early on. As an example here, I'm running 0-18-12 on Riven and I'm able to do a full clear of the jungle without a leash, which shows just how powerful these sustained masteries can be. So for all you Wukong and Kha'Zix players out there, or anyone else who finds themselves struggling with their first clear, explore a combination of these sustained masteries to see what works for you. Before we go into the different jungling paths, there's a few things that you should really know about the jungle camps themselves. The jungle camps provide similar experience levels, so if you do any 1 camp you will hit level 2, and if you do any 3 camps you will hit level 3. The red buff restores a large amount of health when smited, so try to save a smite for the red buff along your jungle path. Smiting the wolf camp allows you to monitor that side of the jungle, which makes it extremely effective at warning you about counter junglers. And smiting the raptor camp will allow you to spot any wards in the nearby area. If you're going for a gank and it has not picked up any wards, then you know that you have the element of surprise on your side. Now let's move on to some common jungling paths. One popular path is to start a Krugs or Gromp with the help of your bottom lane, grab both your buffs and then go for a gank. In this example, Lee Sin starts at the Krugs with the help of his bottom lane. He grabs the red buff real quick, then heads over to finish off the blue buff to reach level 3. He now has the choice of ganking the top lane or the mid lane. He kills some time clearing the Rift Scuttler until top lane is in a good position and then goes in for the gank, killing our top lane Quinn. Another common path is starting at Krugs or Gromp with the help of your bottom lane, then farming your jungle camps in order and only breaking away to gank or counter gank when you see an opportunity. In this example, Kha'Zix starts at the Gromp with the help of his bottom lane, then proceeds to clear the bottom side jungle. And then he heads over to farm his topside jungle and notices that the enemy Zac is trying to set up a gank. Kha'Zix grabs his red buff and sets up a counter gank, allowing his team to pick up a kill on the enemy Zac. The key to pulling off this jungling path is to keep a close eye on the minimap so that you can spot overextended opponents or enemy junglers and adjust your playstyle based on how the game is unfolding. If you are one of those junglers that take a beating in the jungle, you've got the option of clearing 3 camps and recalling to buy an upgrade. In this example, Wukong starts at the Krugs with the help of his bottom lane, then takes his red buff and clears the Raptor camp. He then recalls to buy more jungle items which will make his life easier, and in this case he chose the Hunter's Potion. Junglers with a poor early clear are forced to use this path where they must recall early, as they do not have enough HP to gank a lane, nor do they have enough HP to continue clearing the jungle. Now you might have noticed a common theme with the last 3 jungle paths, and that is that they all start at the Krugs or Gromp and are followed by clearing the red buff or blue buff. Because of how popular these paths are, it opens up possibilities for some very brutal counter jungling. The counter jungler has the option of clearing any 1 camp, then proceeding to intercept the other jungler at their first buff, and then they can follow that up by intercepting the other jungler at their second buff as well. In this example, Pantheon starts at his red buff with the help of his bottom lane and then proceeds into the enemy jungle. He finds the enemy jungler just after he cleared his first buff and proceeds to kill Wukong for a free kill and a free blue buff. Now since Wukong just lost his buff, we know that the very first thing Wukong will do when he respawns is go to his second buff. So we will rotate around through our jungle and head over to the enemy red buff, where we will find and kill Wukong yet again. Now if Wukong was not tilted after his first death, he will definitely be tilted after his second death. He has lost both of his buffs, he has died 2 times, and no doubt his team will start raging at him soon, which means he will be making a lot of poor decisions which will make it easier for us to win the game. The simplest way to avoid this form of counter jungling is to start at your first buff. In this example, we'll be starting at the red buff on Tryndamere. And the reason we do this is we want to avoid the possibility of running into the enemy jungler at our red buff. Then we will leave this side of the jungle and head into our top side jungle to reach level 3 safely. If the enemy jungler attempts to invade your bottom side jungle, it will put him behind in levels and experience as he's fallen behind on his jungle clear and his counter jungling attempts will have failed. In the meantime, you will have reached level 3 safely, securing both of your buffs and be ahead of the enemy jungler. You will need to warn your team that the enemy jungler may get frustrated and force a gank on the bottom lane. Another way to avoid counter jungling is to start at the top side buff and work your way down. This will throw off the enemy jungler completely and will give you a chance to collapse on him if he tries to take the second buff. An added benefit is that this path gives you an opportunity to gank the bottom lane when they least expect it. In this example, we started at the red buff with the help of our top laner and work our way towards the bottom side jungle. We clear the wolf camp and grab the blue buff to reach level 3, then gank the enemy bottom lane, getting a kill for our team at a time when most junglers will be ganking top or mid. The last approach is to start at Krugs or Gromp with the help of your bottom lane, then proceed to grab wolves or raptors before doing your first buff. This will throw off the timing of any potential counter jungling attempts and give you an opportunity to counter the counter jungler should they try to steal your first buff. And again, this has the added benefit of giving you the opportunity to gank the bottom lane. In this example, we started at the Krugs with the help of our support Annie. We then head straight to the Raptor camp in case the enemy jungler attempts to invade us. After clearing the Raptor camp, we come back to the red buff, smiting it for the HP boost. We now have a choice between ganking the mid lane or the bottom lane, and seeing that the enemy bottom lane is pushing in pretty hard, we head towards bottom and gank the enemy Janna from behind and burn the flash on Jinx. Lastly, if you are a sated Devourer jungler who has fast clears but terrible ganks, this will be the best possible path for you to take. Start at the Krugs or Gromp with the help of your bottom lane, then proceed to take every single camp that isn't a buff. Your ganks are so terrible anyway that the buffs would just be wasted this early on. Recall to buy a jungle upgrade, then clear your jungle again for a quick level advantage and look for ganks on your second run through the jungle. It is possible to do this clear without a leash or HP pot so that you can buy a Stalkers or Skirmishers upgrade on the first recall. In this example, we've cleared all of our non-buff jungle camps as Master Yi and have recalled with the Skirmishers upgrade and proceed to clear again. The enemy Lee Sin does have a lead right now, but that is okay. The differences in ganking potential cannot be helped, but this path will work out for us in the long run. We did fall behind the enemy Lee Sin early on, but we've managed to outlevel him and have stronger jungle items as we go for a counter gank in the top lane, picking up 2 kills for our team. This is the most reliable jungle path for sated Devourer junglers to build a lead in levels and itemization. Now, I'm aware this was a lot of information to absorb in one sitting, so let's do a quick recap. Fiddlesticks and Warwick are excellent beginner level junglers because of the sustain built into their kit. These are the different itemization paths that you want to consider based on what you want to do for your team as the jungler. The key items to look out for are Sterak's Gauge, Banshee's Veil, Swift Boots, Dead Man's Plate, and Gunsu's Rageblade. These are the masteries that you should be looking out for better ganking, better counter jungling, and better jungle sustain. Always use flat armor seals and magic resist glyphs. Marks and Quints are situational. These are the 3 common jungling paths that you should know about, as you can expect to run into them most of the time. This is the most common counter jungling path that destroys the 3 previous paths. And these are the 3 jungle paths that you must know to avoid the most common counter jungling pattern which can destroy you. And this is the most reliable path for sated Devourer junglers with poor ganks. If you found this video helpful, do subscribe to the channel, follow on Twitter, and leave a comment about what kind of content you would like to see in future videos. Do check out the video links on either side for more gameplay tips and strategies in this channel.